DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Draft heads. What is going on? Hold on one second. There we are. What is going on? Welcome in to the Key Pass Collective. It is so good to be back. As you can see, still shaking off a little bit of the rust from my holiday, but man, it feels good to be back. And today we're gonna talk draft. We're gonna talk defenders. We're gonna get right into the thick of things. So excited about it. I'm Joe Williams, if you forgot, the host of Key Pass Collective. I'll have some other wonderful gentlemen on here with me in just a second. But reminder, Key Pass Collective, of course, is the audio companion to the Draft Society website. Draft Society website is going to be your go-to place all season for all of your draft needs in order to just dominate your league. But right now, it's going to be your go-to place for the draft kit, which is what you need to dominate your draft. Make sure that you come over with your draft from your draft with an incredibly strong team, with a team that's going to just absolutely bruise your opponents. We've got everything you need. We've got rankings. We've got mock drafts. We've got team previews, all kinds of specialized articles on certain draft strategies. I mean, it's all there. So check it out. We'll talk about it more in just a second, just briefly, but everything you need, DraftSociety.com. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on a couple of wonderful friends that you all are familiar with, and one that will be joining us just a little bit later. First, let's chat with Gavin and Totti. Gavin, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
I cannot complain. Like I said, happy to be back. Totti, how are you, my man?
Very good. Appreciate the 30-minute later start time than we usually do. As I usually say, sleeping is for the weak, and I am both currently, so enjoying.
Exactly.
I honestly do love the extra pep you bring back to the pod. I think we've done an okay job in that sense, but as I told you guys when I recorded an unpublished intro to the Banter Boys podcast,
Yep.
I just appreciate that you're back and you're back orchestrating or conducting this ensemble. Welcome.
If I have nothing else, I have enthusiasm, and I may have actually nothing else, but at least I have enthusiasm. So there is that. That's a good reminder, Totti. Reminder that we actually are co-hosting the Banter Boys Inside Tracks series, and Sanji over at Banter Boys is doing an incredible job of interviewing basically one community member from the draft community for every single team. It's incredible. The work that he's doing, it's a massive effort. And so we just wanted to get more ears on it. And so if you're wondering why those are all showing up in our podcast feed, we're just co-hosting them to try to get, like I said, some more people to know what a great job that Sanji does over there. Not to mention the fact that he's the newest Draft Society writer. So we do want to also kind of like lock hands and give him some support from the team. So good reminder there. All right, let's go ahead and bring up what we're going to talk about today. So First of all, like I said, Draft Kit, head over to draftsociety.com. Draft Kit is live. It's been for like a month. Everything that you possibly need is there. If you are interested in the Draft Kit, $15 will get you the Draft Kit, which we think is fair. I cannot tell you the hundreds of hours that go into this thing, but it's extensive. And $15 will get you the Draft Kit. If, however, you'd be interested in the Ultimate Pass, which again we think is a fair value for the amount of work that goes into it. It's going to get you the Draft Kit, plus it's going to get you all of our articles, rankings, and everything for the entire season. Plus, importantly, it gets you our Fantasy Toolkit app, which literally week in and week out will give you customized, bespoke advice based on your Fantrax ID, literally for your specific league every single week. Who should you pick up? Who should you drop? Who rest of season? Who's got the best value? Trade values for each player. So we really think that's the way to go. But again, the choice is kind of yours. We think it's great value either way. We put a lot of effort into it, and we really appreciate the support from the community so far on the Draft Kit. Like I mentioned earlier, consensus rankings, tiered rankings. We have a live draft aid that will literally walk you through your draft while you're drafting to help you pick players with the most WAR or the players with the most projected points or players, just all the things. So as you can see on screen, if you're live, otherwise, if you're listening, there's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. So check out the Draft Kit. It is live right now on the site. Very quickly, let's pause to bring in Ryan. Ryan, what's happening, man?
What's going on, boys?
How was you were wrapping up work? How'd it go today?
Great. First day back from vacation is always so much fun.
I hate it. I hate it.
Such a blast. God,
oh, man.
Nonstop, but this is a welcome respite.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've already got a bunch of comments in the chat. Carl's here. Tom is here. Paul is here. Brando's here. What's up, everybody? I'm hoping more people join. We've got 12 people watching right now. Hoping we get more in there. Adam Gibbs, what's going on, man? Just hello to everybody. Hit us with questions if you got them. We'll try to hit them at the end and come back through them. Or if they pertain to what we're talking about, we'll try to pull them up live. So yeah, have a blast, guys, in the comment section, and we'll try to get to it when we can. All right, no further ado. Let's get into it, boys. So today we want to talk defenders. We're here to talk about defenders. We're going to be talking about our rankings first. I should say your rankings because I wasn't around for the last set of rankings because I was off fucking around in Italy, but which was amazing. But thank you for putting in the hard yards, guys, and doing the last set of rankings. We'll talk about those and where we ranked defenders. Then we're going to talk about kind of where to draft those defenders. Some late rounders, some late round gems that you guys are liking. And then also any questions that our chat has or any questions that come up. I would love for you guys to just feel free to jump in at any time. Think about those things like as people are drafting, those conundrums that come up, this player versus this player. Is there an either or would you rather that you want to pose to the group? Like, let's just have it be more of a discussion. Just jump in whenever you guys want. We can just kind of go with it and banter a little bit. So, yeah, but first, we have a glaring question on our hands. We would be remiss if we didn't speak about one Harris of Kane. So, guys, what are you doing with Harry Kane in drafts that start tomorrow, let's say? Does anybody want to tackle this first?
I'm hoping that someone takes him before I'm put to a really, really tough decision. The first and last draft I was in, I think he went mid-third.
Wow.
Which is about where I would start to think about him.
I was just going to ask you, when is that tough decision?
You can't underestimate. Yeah. I mean, you can't underestimate the intransigence of Daniel Levy and just the pathetic nature of Harry Kane. So he could stay. He could very well stay. I think it's a coin flip at this point. It's your risk reward. You can have a late third round pick flop. But if he hits, you basically win your league. So it's a pretty nice lotto ticket. So that's about where I think I would I would start. First 2 rounds, it's just too risky for me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think this is like a continually evolving situation, and every different draft start, they will have a different situation on their hands. So I saw him fall to like round 6 2 days ago, because the 2 articles that came out yesterday and today about the valuations being far apart and him possibly staying. So round 8 in the Super League, but that was like a very, very short window of maybe bookies going early for some extra investment, and therefore people getting cold feet. So I think from now until the weekend, we are probably not getting any new information. So I would be surprised if he fell further than the second round from in drafts starting from today onwards. I would be very, very puzzled on what I would do if he fell to me in pick 11 and pick 12, which I have in the upcoming drafts that I'm doing over the weekend. Just like Ryan, hope I don't get to that situation. Someone takes him before me.
Yeah, I'll say.
Go ahead, Gavin. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I started a draft today and he went 8th overall. Somebody still took him in the first round. And so I think there's just a lot of confusion and PR and a lot of other things going on right now, kind of to echo what Totti said. We had that article come out and the headline was very favorable, saying Kane's decided to stay if he's still there by the time the first game happens. And so, that's a really big if. I think there's a lot of, I don't think Kane has any say in that, really. Like, if the deal is agreed between the clubs, he's not really going to have too much of an option to say, yeah, no, I'm going to back out on this. So I still think I still think it's a massive risk to look at that information and take him in the first round. I feel, I guess, like Ryan, maybe like getting into round 3 is probably where I would feel comfortable, but he's obviously in my one league that started today, long gone before then. And I imagine that'll be the case in other leagues as well.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting because, Totti, it sounds like your sort of breaking point, or the point that the pressure point for you would be a lot earlier than it was for Ryan. Ryan with clearly a great affinity for Spurs, and so
I have him ranked at. I think we're doing ranks on Thursday. I have him ranked between 15 and 20, and that is my point where I would probably take him. I usually do a little look back on my own draft and other drafts as well. You can't, like, usually around 1/3 of the first and second round is a bust. Obviously, the definition of a bust gets wider and wider as you go later, they are less considered a bust if you don't get any production from a 15th rounder or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the upside or the potential return in investment, even at 1/8, is so big that I think one cannot be slated for picking him up there, because before the Bayern links, before everything was going on, we were talking about him in 1 to 3. So if the production continues, then yeah, I don't mind anyone, or I'm not going to say a bad word about anyone taking him in at the end of the first round.
Well,
probably
I
the
will. That's way too early, man. No, I mean if it's between him and like Mbumo, then that's a different story. But if it's between him and somebody you can pick in the late first round, that's just too much risk.
Oh man, and almost too late. I think. Like I don't know, Kane or
late third.
I suppose Kane or Isak.
I'd rather have Isaac. If like he's going to be at the club, they're going to build their attack around him. You don't have the uncertainty of missing out on your first or second round pick leaving the league by September 1st. You know, that's I guess where I'm at is like the transfer window is still open for another month. You know, there's a lot of time that all of these negotiations can still happen and developments can happen. And, you know, you get maybe 1 or 2 games from Kane and he leaves. If that's your first or second pick, that's a huge bust.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean,
at least you can drop him, not like Luis Diaz last season.
Fair.
I dropped him. Yeah.
So did I. But you know what I mean.
I do indeed.
Kane or Raheem Sterling?
Kane.
Okay. Kane or all right, so that's too far. Kane or Kai Havertz?
Kane.
Oh wow. Okay. So it sounds like for you guys, you're looking at somewhere in the third. It's just interesting because like we're getting comments, right? We've got several people, commenting. Obviously, I flashed on the screen earlier, Joke But Dreams got him in round 8 in the Super League, which is wild. But then Cole stating Kane should go 10 to 13 if the draft was tomorrow. He thinks he's staying. I mean, if he's staying, absolutely, for sure, right? That's the whole point. And then other people who basically said, we had Carl who said, started 2 drafts today, and one he went first round, and the other he went mid third. Yeah, I like the mid third. In the first, I'm a little bit skittish, I think, still.
Yep, agreed.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, I like it. Let's trudge forth. So, moving right along, defender ranks. So, guys, we're going to break these down into, these are not necessarily our tiers as they appear on our tiered rankings cheat sheet, but these are basically some tiers. Just they're tiers in a sense. I think it's obvious why these first 2 are on the screen now. One of the things I would love to discuss first is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And there's a few narratives going on currently that, involve obviously Trent. And one of them is that he is absolutely elite, that he's going to continue on as he ended last season. The other one is I saw somebody post yesterday something like basically like, why would you draft Rodri in the first round? Or maybe it wasn't Rodri. I can't remember who it was. Did you guys see this post? It was like comparing him to another center defensive mid. Basically like, why would you draft insert center defensive mid who scores, really middling numbers here in the first round? And so just go ahead. Because
he doesn't drop middling numbers?
Right. So, the whole question is, can he keep it up?
I mean, I think he can. I don't think he's going to be a top 3 player because I think teams are going to start to figure it out. I mean, they know what Liverpool's doing at this point. I think the Villa game at the end of last season was pretty instructive for me because they figured out how to kind of nullify some of his threat. So I think folks are going to start to figure out how to try and play against him, but he's still going to put up crazy numbers. And yeah, as you've shown, this is a 2 defender tranche. So I mean, he's one of 2 elite defenders. It's just a matter of how good do you think he's going to be. I mean, I think anywhere between 5 and 8, I think, is a decent spot for him. Not top 3 or 4, but after that, yeah, I think he's fair game.
Yeah, I think there is some truth to the concerns about him going to the number 6 spot. Um, he is. I would say there is like a, I don't know, don't want to put a number on it, but maybe a 35% chance that he goes back to his usual right back spot. There's a 55% chance that he goes to the right defensive midfield spot in the box midfield, and then there is a 10. I don't know. I haven't kept count, but there's a 10% chance that
Math.
he actually goes into that number 6 spot that he started the first preseason game in. That would be bad, I think, and there is concern there because even if Liverpool get the Romeo Lavia deal done, that leaves them with one healthy 19-year-old defensive midfielder and one injured 19-year-old defensive midfielder to hold down an attack that has just added flair and throwing caution to the wind type of players in Soboslai Dominic and reinstating Darwin Nunez, agent of chaos. So this is a team focusing on the front foot. This is a team that looks like they will go all out attack, and I would be very concerned if we are looking at a rotation of Romeo Lavia and Stefan Bajcetic as the number 6. So I had actually written my Do Not Draft article, or my part of the Do Not Draft article, that Alexis McAllister is potentially going to play as the number 6. There is a chance there, and if he does, and maybe Trent steps up next to him in the box midfield, that's a bit better for Trent, but it's much less exciting than when you were looking at Fabinho as the main number 6, I would say. So there is concern, but the main expectation is still him to have insane production.
So the set pieces is a floor as well, so it can't get that bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's, I think a low percentage, like you said, Totti, that he's going to act as like a true number 6 or a holding midfielder this season. I think there are enough pieces to move around where you can have Lavia and McAllister next to each other, or I think Klopp even tried Curtis Jones in that deeper lying midfield role. That's an opportunity. I don't know how effective that will be, but that's something else that they're looking at, I think. So I imagine Liverpool will be very focused on bringing in another holding midfielder, whether that's Lavia or somebody else, before the end of the window. And maybe there is a short period of time where Trent is used in that role, but the whole purpose of restructuring the system was to get him into positions where he can influence the game from an attacking standpoint. And I don't see them moving away from that. And I think he's going to be really one of the focal pieces of the build-up and be really heavily involved in getting the ball to the attacking players. So I think he's still going to be that elite defender that you want on your team.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you guys. I mean, you let's see, Gavin and Totti, you guys have him at 5. Ryan, you have him at 10. So, and that was last set of rankings. So are we still feeling about good about that? Like in both of my drafts today, I saw him go, I think it was like 7 and 8, which obviously is later than a couple of you are valuing him, and then a little bit earlier than Ryan, you're valuing him. So to me, it seems like good value, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I think for me, I think 5 is actually almost more of a strategic ranking. I think he's good value at 7 or 8. I think he's probably a better value there, but it's a weird spot to be in the middle of the first round when it comes back around to you. There's a little bit of a drop off in the middle of the second round where you're kind of forced to be like, do I want Ollie Watkins as my forward, or do I want to wait until the middle of round 3 and get Mbomo as my first forward?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can get that's where it really becomes kind of a tricky thing to figure out, of not only where do we kind of rank these players against each other, but what does it mean for your roster? And so I think if you're at 5, you can probably get like a more attractive midfielder in round 2 that you don't feel bad about reaching for, and then have an earlier chance for that striker run that kind of dies out in the early to middle part of round 3. So there's a little bit of strategy involved in that, but I think anywhere from 5 to 8 is good value.
I can't wait to talk strikers, because that round 3 is such an interesting area when it comes to so many Liverpool guys going. According to ADP, that just to me does not seem like all of them can deliver on that value, but we'll get to that soon enough. Anything else on Trent before we move on? I have a question. I want to start with Gavin on Trippier. We're good? Okay. Gavin, aside from Genie, who has ranked Trippier at 17, you're actually the lowest on Trippier at 10.
Yeah, and I think I have him at even lower in the ranks that are coming out.
Okay. And that's curious, because I was going to say, in those drafts I was in today, I did see him going later, sometimes on the turn in the second round, sometimes even into the second round, 2 or 3 picks. And I'm just curious kind of on your take, and all of you just generally on, is he really going to lose value this season? The age thing doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know if it bothers you all, or if it's just more of Newcastle kind of showing some chinks in the armor towards the end of last season, and that sort of carrying over to this season.
Yeah, I covered this actually fairly extensively in my Newcastle preview that I wrote. I think there's a lot of there's going to be a big challenge in terms of how Newcastle prioritize the competitions that they're in this season. So they've got the Champions League now, and they've also got a challenge to obviously try and stay in the top 4 in the upcoming Premier League season. They actually have a very difficult opening fixture run, like very, very difficult, which I think Totti has an article coming out soon about drafting for early fixtures that influences some of my rankings as well, looking at comparing players that are very similar in value. If you look at their opening fixtures and try and get a sense of like, okay, is this player going to get me more points over the early part of the season, and can I use that as an opportunity to look to trade? If you're that type of manager, then obviously that comes into play. If you're looking for somebody that's like for the long haul, then maybe that doesn't so much, those opening kind of few fixtures. That's definitely something that I kind of factor into how I'm ranking things. So I think between that, the opening fixture run, and then also just the number of competitions, the additional fixtures, and the lack of squad depth at Newcastle, I'm bumping him down slightly. I still think he's a first round pick, but I just don't think he has the same production as last season.
Real quickly, Newcastle, according to our fixture difficulty tracker, second bottom, Burnley being bottom, because they have a blank after facing Manchester City. But Newcastle, Villa, City, Liverpool, Brighton, before it gets a little bit better with Brentford and Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's tough.
Go ahead, Ryan. Thoughts on Trippier?
Yeah, he's a tough one. I still just have vivid memories of playing against him and just watching his points rack up like a fucking cash register. Thankfully, I had share. Yeah. I was like, no, it didn't touch anyone's head. No, that's not a key pass. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got that special Fantrax ability to just rack up points, and it's hard to put a price on that. So Yeah, I mean, some of those things that Gavin mentioned are a little, I guess, disappointing, especially early doors. But I still think after like 7, you gotta probably have to take a chance on him, just because of the ghost points, and they'll get better as a team. They still don't have a viable right back to come in for him. He was healthy and fit as a fiddle last season. I don't think he missed a game. Yeah, they'll have Champions League and whatnot, so that's a concern. But until you see otherwise, I mean, he can seemingly stay fit. So yeah, I mean, he was third overall last season, so I don't see that happening again, but I still can see him doing top 10. So yeah, between 7 and 9 is probably where I'd look for him. After that, I think he's great value.
Yep, I agree. I think all that needs to be said has been said. He was top scoring player, not just defender player, for a long time during the last season. So that is not a mistake. That is not just the clean sheets that they got. That is his extreme production. So he's definitely worth a top 15 pick. It comes down to whether you want to spend your first rounder on a defender, I think.
That, before we move on, I think that is something we should pause on very quickly. And that, to me, is the reason why I passed on him once today. And one time he was taken just before me. So you guys have done a lot of mock drafts. Several of you are in like real drafts at this point, or have completed them. And so as far as roster construction is concerned, I am concerned about taking a defender in the first round, especially after last year when I got burned with Cancelo. But even one who contributes or produces all year, do you see it, even despite the massive difference in like the war between Trent and Trippier and their peers in the defensive position, do you see it being worth it taking a defender in the first round and passing on, other talent there, especially at the forward position, which is thin this year? I'll stop talking.
I think if you miss out on your forward target in round 1 and early round 2, then I don't see much of a difference between a top level defender and a top level midfielder, just based on positional differences. So if just because of the depth of talent in each position, I think you can get away with picking either Trent or Trippier instead of one of your midfield targets. If you are hitting, if you're trying to hit a forward target, and you have a choice of going for a forward at that point in the draft or a defender, then I would consider the positional thing a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about with the Trent at 5 versus Trent at 8 kind of conundrum. It's really depends on who you think might be available in the next round. And I think that really only applies maybe to the first 3 rounds, where kind of the highest upside players are the ones that are most likely to, win you a game week on their own. If you can imagine who's going to be available by the time, the next pick comes around, and you're looking at potentially not getting out of the first 3 rounds with a forward, that's a cause for concern for me. So I agree with Totti. I think it really comes down to kind of where you are in the draft order and what your available options are in the next pick and potentially the pick after that.
Cool. Anything, Ryan?
No, I think that's right. Yeah, as he creeps to you, you have to make a judgment call as to whether you think you can get your next target in the second round. If you think you can get that forward, then yeah, he's a great warrior value pick there. But yeah, it just depends on what you think you'll get next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these comments in the chat are hilarious. We'll get to them as we go further into the rankings. But we've got some comments about Malo Gusto. We've got some comments about Totti. How do you say it? Kerkez. We've got already comments about him. People knowing that you're going to be pretty keen on him. So we'll get to those as soon as we can. But let's go back to it, guys. We've got our next set of defenders on the screen right now. For audio listeners, I'll kind of break it down for you. So we have our consensus ranks, basically 30 through 46 on the screen. It goes Porro, Shaw, James, Reece James, Estupinian, Pinnock, Tarkowski, Cher, and then Chilwell all the way down at 46. Which is interesting, and we'll definitely get to that one, Ryan. But let's start more near the top. So Porro, Shaw, Reece James, Estupinian. We're seeing these guys round 3 through usually 3 and 4, sometimes 3 through 5. How do you guys parse these defenders, and where are you comfortable kind of like dipping your foot in the defender pool if you haven't with Trent and or Trippier?
I can take a stab at this. Something I've been thinking about a lot. I think early fourth is probably where I'd start to look at this tranche of defenders. I've seen Reece go as late as late fourth, which barring impending injury news, that's pretty good value, especially if you cuff them with
impending.
I mean, it's coming. It's just
yeah. Really quickly, Ryan. You say early fourth, so let me ask you: in your ideal world, have you gone forward, mid, or two mids and a forward?
Ideal world, forward, mid. Best value.
Okay.
Defender probably.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So I think fourth round you can start thinking about the Reece James, Porro, Shaw, Estupinian are probably not that early for me, but I've seen them go. And then I think Pinnock, Tarkowski are good value probably after the 6th.
The 6th? You're not getting Pinnock in the 6th.
Actually, late in my draft. I think I got him like late 7th or late 8th, which I thought was great value. I've seen him go in the 6th.
Really? Oh yeah, no, I never have. He usually is gone by the 5th for me.
Yeah, it depends. If you want him, if you definitely want him, early to mid 5th has been pretty standard. And then I'm gonna upgrade Chilwell in my next set of rankings. Looked great in preseason, seems fit. He's been slept on a bit, but his ADP has gotten actually better. So he's creeping back up into people's thinking. So I think if you wanted to pounce on him, you probably now have to get him in the 4th.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, Toddy's kind of similarly skeptical on Chilwell a little bit. You had him at 52. Ryan, you had him at 61, which you said is going to come up a little bit. But Toddy, why are you a little bit more bearish on Chilwell?
It's a combination of health and just moving pieces and all new things at Chelsea. He obviously has the possibility of a breakout season because of his just natural ability, but similarly a bit for me to Porro is that if you look at the whole team's setup and you check out what they are working with in central midfield, then and couple that with a hyper attacking back line, then there's just not going to be enough bodies going back to defend. And I have a similar concern with Spurs and Chelsea, meaning that neither of them has a solid defensive midfield structure in place. And even if they get in a new signing, they won't have done a preseason together. They won't have done transitions. They won't have done training. Obviously, either of them gets in a good player, then they're a good player, so they'll pick it up quickly. But I feel that either a 6 position or a defensive-minded 8 position is a very complex position to play. So I'd think that both of those teams will start the season. Both Chelsea and Spurs will start the season with a bit of more defensive solidity in the back four, meaning that's why I'm a bit skeptical about the fullbacks, wing backs, whatever you want to call them, at either team. So that's why I have Porro later than everyone else. That's why I have Chilwell later than everyone else. That's why I have Reece James later than everyone else, because it just doesn't make sense to me if Chelsea set up in a situation where Enzo Fernandez is the furthest back in the midfield, and Chilwell and Reece James are both in the team, then it's essentially just the 2 center backs staying back.
Yeah.
And it's the same situation with Spurs. If they're starting with Maddison and possibly Lo Celso in midfield, then they have Højbjerg as the only defensive midfielder back there, as an expectation from a third round defender. You want Porro to be the furthest forward in a team. You want we'll probably talk about the left side of Spurs a bit later, but you want the other fullback to be further forward than anyone else. Then who the hell is going to defend? So yeah, that's why I'm a bit skeptical on both teams.
I feel you, and that's exactly And I think when Adam Gibbs is, he commented in chat, Porro in a back four. That's exactly what you're speaking to, and I guess the counter to that is, and if anybody wants to speak to this, is like, there's a reason why these guys are so high in our draft boards. We're not drafting them for clean sheets. I mean, there's a reason why Virgil van Dijk is so much lower, and obviously guys like Gabriel Magalhaes and guys like your Salibas, right? They're going to be way lower than people maybe even expect, because we're not looking at clean sheets here. We're looking for guys who are going to deliver fantasy points in other ways.
Yeah, I don't. It's not the production that I'm concerned about. It's the fact that either he learns how to defend and stay back, and therefore loses production, or he is not playing.
I'd have a section on Porro, an article I'm dropping tomorrow, so I don't want to step on that, and I don't want you guys to as well. But I have some concerns with Porro. If I knew he was playing as a wing back and pinging balls into Kane like he did second half of last season, he would be a lot further up my rankings. But the upside is there, but those concerns can really make him a bust potentially. So something to keep in mind, and especially in that tranche of defenders, he has maybe one of the bigger concerns. I mean, a few of them have injury concerns, obviously Chelsea, but Porro has some other ones altogether. So yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Yeah. Adam, coming back into chat, just stating a little bit more bluntly than you, Ryan, just that he's shite. So there is that. And that's a defending though, of course, not going forward. He's fantastic going forward, but yeah.
And I want to piggyback on what Ryan said, and that is the reason why from this tranche I have Luke Shaw and Pervis Estupiñán higher than everyone else.
Sure.
Because they have the upside, they have the attacking upside, and their role is the clearest. There's no competition. There is no concern about minutes on either of them. We know what they can do.
Yep.
Even if they drop off, in Brighton's case, they drop off a bit in attack and in defense from last season. We know that he can do what he does, and there's no change in managers. There's no change in system. There's no change in competition. He is just, both of those players are just steady as hell.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. And some people are going to ask themselves, Totti, hearing you say that, well, okay, same thing for Pinnock, same thing for Tarkowski, same thing for Cher. Like, what's going on there? It's a ceiling issue, right?
Those are the four guys I have earlier than the rest of them.
Right, but the other two, Estupiñán and Shaw, it's a ceiling thing, right? I mean, it's exactly. About yeah. They have the ability to perform at a higher level. Whereas you're going to love your Pinnock, you're going to love your Tarkowskis week in and week out. They are going to be the backbone of your team, but their ceiling is such that they're not going to win you a game week. Whereas Estupiñán could get you halfway there. Like he's not gonna be Holland, but he could get you 30.
Yeah.
I'll let Gavin jump in after this, but Estupiñán. Yeah, he's got the lowest, I think, ghost points of probably the bunch. I think it was about 8 last season. So I feel like he's a bit overhyped. Brighton's not going to keep too many clean sheets. The one thing he has going for them is that Brighton schedule. I feel like he's one of those guys that you could feel comfortable trotting out the first 4 or 5 weeks and then trading out on a high. But otherwise, I just don't see the hype. I wouldn't take him in the 4th. I'd have to wait until I think 5th, 6th, maybe. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
They'll be long gone. Yeah.
And where would you take Luke Shaw?
You know that I can't.
All right, Gavin, go ahead.
No, I think Toddy's justification makes a lot of sense to me, and actually might influence future thinking a little bit. But
all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense to think about not only what is the floor, the ceiling, where kind of the range of points that you might get, but also how available are these players? What sort of minutes are they going to get? How many starts are they going to get? What is the schedule? Like Ryan said, that's part of the reason why I have Estupiñán as high as I do. Brighton's got a pretty good opening schedule. I am a little bit more bullish on him. I do think he gets into the attack quite frequently, and I think he'll flourish in a system that, again, is built around these young attackers that are kind of coming into their own. I think Brighton has a lot of pieces that were really starting to gel last season, but I think there are a lot more opportunities for them to build on that now that they've had more time to play together. So I think there's opportunity there for Estupiñán to be one of those kind of second tier defenders, if you will, that's a little bit higher than your center backs. Still has that kind of elite level upside, just doesn't offer it as frequently as somebody like a Trent or a Trippier that also have set pieces on top of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Anything else to add on any of the rest of this lot?
Just a comment. I think you flashed up on the screen from Fantrax Fox. I think he was being a little bit cheeky there. I think he did take Chilwell in pick one of round 4 in a draft earlier today. So good on him. I was actually disappointed that Chilwell went off the board when he did. So yeah, well done.
So he's just justifying his own draft pick
Exactly.
in the comment section here. Fair enough. Chapdog 9997 though is saying Chilwell taking left-footed corners. Does that affect your thinking at all on him?
mean, that was kind of built into my ranking of him, is that he does have a share of set pieces. Balance that out with his availability a little bit. But if he stays fit, he's a very attacking player and has that set piece ability. So definitely potential to be even better than where he's being drafted.
Yeah. Have you guys seen any of these players fall to like the late 5th or 6th? I'm just trying to give listeners or viewers a good idea of like, when they're going to see value with these guys. Like, again, we're talking Poro, Shaw, James, Estupinian, Pinnock, Tarkowski, Cher, Chilwell. For me, I usually see most of these guys gone by the 5th, 6th for sure.
Tarkowski I've seen mostly in the 7th.
Wow.
To be honest. Poro dropped, I think, to the mid 5th in one of my drafts, which was surprising. But yeah, he's been mostly 4th. Cher dropped quite a bit. I think he was 7th or 8th round in my draft. So Tarkowski and Cher, potential to drop to 7th. Pinnock usually 5th, 6th. Chile's ADP has gone up quite a bit. He was previously like the 5th, 6th round pick. Now he's early to mid 4th. And then the other guys are usually around late 3rd, somewhere in the 4th.
Yeah.
I took Shaw at 4-11 in the Busy Dads League.
I love the Busy Dads League. This was your brainchild, right, Totti?
It's together with Chapon.
Okay. Yeah, just basically dads who don't have a ton of time on their hands, want to be in another league, and lineups lock, right?
Yeah, and it's best ball, so you don't even have to worry about auto subs. The system chooses the 11 best players for you. You have limited availability of moves, so you have only 3 moves per week. So it's not free for all after waivers run. So yeah, it's a good idea. I think it's good fun. Obviously, for me as a professed addict, it's just one more stuff. But I think the original idea with Chap1 was that we wanted to have a league that dads who genuinely are having issues with these super competitive leagues could join in, keep the draft EPL love going, and maybe once their certain amount of kids get into college, then they can get back to the hyper competitive leagues, and we are enjoying the dad jokes in the chat, so it's always fun.
Absolutely, I feel you. Gavin, next year you and I will have to start a dad dogs league, but not to minimize anything, but yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, let's roll. We gotta keep moving here, guys. We're gonna run out of time otherwise, so let's go to the next batch. Okay. Apologies, my slides cut off the bottom, or maybe that's my banner. Hold on one second. There we go. Never mind. Nailed it. Okay. So this is kind of your next batch, and this is where we're getting into some of those, like I mentioned, kind of center backs who are a little bit more dependent on clean sheets. You've also got a few guys in here you'll notice that are maybe rotation concerns. And then also some players who previously were early 2nd round picks, maybe just the one that we should talk about probably straight off the bat. And Andrew Robertson, who you all have consensus rank 58. And Gavin, it's even worse than that for you and Ryan at 60. And Totti, even worse than that for you at 68. Let's talk Robbo to start.
It's I think kind of going back to the end of last season when Liverpool made the switch to the 3-box-3 system. That's really where this kind of huge drop off happened. Obviously, Liverpool didn't have the best season last season anyway. Leading up to that switch, they had a really rough time keeping clean sheets, and
correct.
Very frustrating to be a fantasy manager rostering any of their defenders through the first 2/3 of last season. But really, even outside of that, Robertson really didn't pick back up in the same way in terms of points per start that the rest of the Liverpool team did when they made that switch to the 3-box-3. So obviously Trent was pushed up into midfield in possession, and what that meant was that Robertson became kind of this auxiliary center back, and almost all of Robertson's fantasy value is being that kind of flying wing back, fullback type player, going up and down the wing, getting crosses in, getting to the byline. And he still kept set pieces, but that was kind of his saving grace, really, was that he had a share of set pieces. Otherwise, he was very much in line with Van Dijk or Konate, and without the aerials, so that's even worse. So I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm low on him, why the rest of us are probably low on him as well, is if they stick with that same system, he's essentially center back in possession.
Yeah. And Ryan, I'm sorry, I threw you under the bus. It's actually Robbie who has him ranked at 60. You still got him at 48 or 47, which is the highest of any of us. So do you care to offer a rebuttal?
No, that was an error on my part. I rostered him at the end of last season, and Robbie will be able to relay my pain, and because I was just bitching at him. So I think it might have been his idea that I pick him up. But yeah, he was horrific, and in this new change of system, I don't see that changing. Ironically, he has, if the Fantrax is correct, and it very well might not be, he has, I think, an ADP of 31.5, which is,
I
think, third. I think he's the top rated after the aforementioned Trent, Trippier,
which is amazing, because
is unbelievable.
You watch your league mates take him, and you just giggle to yourself and laugh all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
the more picks people take earlier than you have them, the more players you have to choose from. That's easy as that.
Does anybody know approximately when Liverpool switched the system?
There were about 10 games left in last season.
Okay, so would that have been like
28?
Early May?
Maybe in April.
April, yeah.
All right, so if I go mid-April, something like, I don't know, let's say April 13th. It's a Thursday. Just trying to get, just in case there was a Friday game. I'm trying to see if we can kind of nail down this Robertson, exactly the kind of this conundrum here that we're looking at. So really quickly, hopefully, so 13th of April to the end of the season, we are looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold having 139.25 points as a defender. The next closest defender had 89.5.
Yeah.
89.5. I mean, so that should tell you pretty much everything you need to know about our ranking of him. Andrew Robertson was 17th among defenders in that time frame with 56.5.
How many games is that? 10 games with 56.5.
That would have been, let's see, one second. Robertson. That was 7 games started for him. I think he might have been rested in one of those, or I remember Simicast coming in. Maybe it was a form thing. I'm not quite sure, but I do remember Simicast being a streamer in one of those late matchups in the last season.
That's still a very bad.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. All I'm not all out on him. He still averaged 7.06 per game. Not ideal, obviously. Just under Mark Gahey. For context.
So that's the guy you want as your round 3 pick.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. I think that's well put. Yeah, from everybody, and nicely articulated there from Gavin and Ryan. So let's move. Okay. So everyone else in this kind of like category, this next kind of sub tier, Virgil van Dijk, Diogo Dalot, Robertson, of course, we talked about, Ben Mee, Alex Moreno, Michael Keane, Wan-Bissaka, Konate, John Stones, and Felipe. So there's some names in there that like people who maybe aren't familiar with the scoring system or don't quite, as obsessively keep track as we do, as you mentioned, Totti, are going to be surprised to see guys like Michael Keane in there, guys like maybe Felipe in there, and they're going to be surprised to see guys like maybe Diogo Dalot being so low on the list. So does anybody want to speak to kind of like any of those? I don't know.
I think Michael Keane's an interesting one because there is a lot of talk about the young centre back who was on loan in the Eredivisie last season, Jared Brandtwaite, to come in and take his spot. Keane actually was dropped for the end of the season, 6-pointers essentially, when Everton were playing for relegation. I think he loses his spot, but I think he does start the season as the starter, so he's a prime candidate for drafting and then trying to trade during the first international break, because I think they will do everything in their power to either sign a new centre back or get the youngster Brandtwaite to get up to speed and then take his spot. So as much as I'm okay drafting him, that is with the caveat of selling him high.
Yeah. Ben Chicken's commenting basically the same thing you're saying in chat. And he's referencing Sanji's amazing work over at Inside Tracks, which we'll also be posting. Actually, the Everton one's already on our podcast feed, so check it out. And basically saying that Keane's not trusted by fans or by Dyche, and that he's not going to play much this season. But as a late round shout, because look where we have him ranked, you're not going to have to pay that in draft capital. You can get him much, much later than this. This is a reflection of the fact that he averaged in the end of the season, kind of that same time frame I was referencing with Robertson, he averaged 13 points per game. This is reflecting that, right? And so you're not going to have to pay that for Keane. You're not going to have to pay what you're going to have to pay for Virgil van Dijk or Ben Mee or Moreno in terms of draft capital. Instead, you can wait much, much, much later, hopefully bring him in for the first 3-4 matches. And then if he gets dropped, so what? Hopefully you've, again, laughed your way to the bank. Anybody else on any of these guys?
Just a note on Dalot really quickly. He's gone up and down my ranks pretty much every version that we've had. And he's a really tough one to figure out this season because there's question marks around whether he's going to be the starter. Wan-Bissaka kind of came in and was the more defensively solid of the two toward the end of last season. He was getting a lot more starts. Dalot had some injury issues, but even when he was available, Wan-Bissaka was still kind of starting ahead of him fairly frequently. So I think there's possibility that we see a timeshare between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, and that you're probably not going to be able to rely on Dalot as like a set and forget type defender in your team. He will deliver really high upside, and he ghosts very, very well when he starts. But I think he's looking at a lot fewer starts than maybe anybody else in this group.
Yeah. Ryan, you and I have talked, I don't know about extensively, but we've talked a lot about the Delo conundrum. I know you're not drafting him because he's a Man U player, but just for people who are, you're basically boiling it down to the fact that you just have to get Wan-Bissaka like 2 rounds later. And are you willing to commit that price?
Yeah, he's definitely one of those cuffs that actually does make sense. I don't think the defense is going to be as good as it was last year. I think they got the most clean sheets, if I'm not mistaken, Man United last season. But they'll still be pretty good. So I think that cuff actually does make sense depending on when you can get it. I want to say you're looking at like round 8 and round 10 for both of them, if I'm not mistaken. AWB around 8 to low 10.
Wan-Bissaka's passed him up now?
I thought so.
I didn't realize that.
Just anecdotally in the drafts that I've been in. But yeah, I'd have to go back and check that out. But yeah, maybe it's flipped. Yeah, either way, you'd probably have to do that. Somebody I like in this group, Konate. I think he's been one of the more active defenders and probably the only one outside of Trent that benefited from the tactical switch. So I like him. He's decent value after 9, so like around 10. He's I think a good pickup as a defender too. Stones, I don't see why any of us have him above 100 or below 100, I should say. I don't see the appeal. Felipe went undrafted the last draft I was in. Just because I think Forest are never going to keep a clean sheet. If they stick to a back 3, his ghosts get dented a little bit. They start the season at Arsenal. So, yeah, I'm not as high on Felipe, I think, as you would tend to believe based on my machinations last season.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he's certainly somebody I would monitor to stream later on. But in terms of drafting, I've seen people think that they're slick taking him pretty early, but not for me. Yeah.
For what it's worth, I think I don't want to speak for you, Joe and Gavin, but I think we are all pretty low on Stones. The only saving grace for me is that this early schedule looks like Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United, and Fulham for the first 3, or for the first 4, followed by West Ham and Nottingham Forest. So if they're ever going to keep consecutive clean sheets, it's going to be in this schedule. And obviously we know that there's a lot of time gone since the end of last season while Pep could think up new and exciting tactical things. But at the end of last season, John Stones was a decent option with some attacking upside. I think as a late round punt, to have to trade out during the first international break, I think he's a decent add after round 10.
I think there's a case to be made not only for the very, very good run, maybe the best fixture run to open the season, but also Jeannie and I have a bet that Stones will finish. I'm on the side that Stones will finish inside the top 100 overall, and Jeannie took the opposite. I think if you look at kind of the influence in the team, particularly in the Champions League, towards the end of the season, Stones was really actually operating more as like a number 8, similar to like a Trent or a Zinchenko at Arsenal, where he was getting up into the attack a lot more frequently. And he's actually spoken about it a little bit, of having more of that freedom to step up into midfield. So I kind of compare him a little bit to like a Rodri or somebody along those lines, where there's a good floor of points available there. There is some potential for attacking returns, and then if you throw in the clean sheet bonus on top of that, I think there's a lot of factors that make it so Stones could actually be inside the top 100. Not fantastic, not going to set the world on fire or anything like that, but I think he's got a lot of potential to have more of an attacking output than he did last season.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And Ben Chicken's Man City supporter saying, take advantage of Man City defenders late and then trade them out because we all know how they do when it comes to needing clean sheets for value and then seeing those clean sheets disappear in the 88th minute or whatever it is. We've all
110th now with the new rules.
Exactly. We've all been there. Wanted to shine some light on the Wan-Bissaka Dalot kind of conundrum that people are looking at. And shout out to at FPL_Romfrosk, ROMFROSK. Literally, just thank you so much to him. He shared his preseason tracker with us, and he's tracking every single preseason game, minutes that players are getting. It really is a thing of beauty. It's an amazing amount of work that he's done. And I can tell listeners, we're looking at this is August 1st. And currently Wan-Bissaka has played a total of 225 minutes. He started 80% of the preseason matches. Diogo Dalot, 135 minutes. So if that clarifies anything at all for people or helps just in terms of going forward, it's going to be messy. It's going to be brutal, but it does, at least at the moment, look like Wan-Bissaka is favored. Do with that what you will. But I don't know. So anyway, another just kind of like quick mention, or at least just a reminder that you're going to see these players, where they are on our rankings based upon our understanding of the scoring system, our history with these players and what they've done previously. Not where they're going to be drafted. You just heard Ryan say that Felipe was undrafted in a draft that he was in. And you can see that we have him 96 overall. So a lot of these players are prime for value picks later on in the draft. So let them slip as far as you can. Take them when you're comfortable. Anything else on this lot, guys, before we move on? Nope. Good. Okay, cool. All right. This will be kind of like the final batch of defenders. Let me make this a little bit bigger on the screen for everybody. The final batch of defenders, and this is where you're going to start seeing some of those more familiar names. And especially if you play FPL, these are going to be those names that are a lot more dependent on clean sheets. You're going to see a lot of these guys that you're used to seeing, whether it's Man City defenders and Diaz, or whether it's defenders like Alexander Zinchenko, who's criminally overdrafted always. Same with like the City defenders, same with Gabriel Magalhaes, same with Newcastle defenders not named Fabian Schär or Kieran Trippier. Same with players like Dan Burn. Oh, I just mentioned that. Sorry. Anyway, you get it. So these are kind of our defenders that, yes, they've got the name value. These guys will probably be overdrafted in your leagues. My thought on this crop, and this is kind of our last crop that we're going to spend some time with today, but let me just run through them quickly. And I would like you guys to just mention any of them who have any sort of upside that you would be willing to take before like the last, 3 rounds in your draft. So we have Destiny Udogie, Dan Burn, Milos, say it again, Totti.
Kerkez Milos.
Kerkez Milos, right? That's because you flip it in Hungarian. I got you. Kenny Tete, Thiago Silva, Levi Colwell, Matty Cash, Sven Botman, Joachim Anderson, Gabriel Magalhaes, Alexander Zinchenko, Lisandro Martinez, Ruben Diaz, Christian Romero, and Ben White. That gets us to 131 overall in our rankings. And you're not going to see many more defenders than this taken in a draft unless somebody is kind of swinging for the fences on a lottery ticket / hidden gem. So, guys, Who do you like out of here in terms of actually delivering on some fantasy value more than just clean sheet potential?
Tete has the best ghost points, I think, of the lot. Although Anderson has some stretches, but their schedule is tough. I've seen that they've been constantly linked to other right backs, so I'm wondering if he starts getting rotated. And he's been going way too early for me. He's been going in like the 8th round in a lot of drafts that I've seen, so too early for me. If he falls to like the 10th, then I'm interested. Guys have been shitting on Magalhaes, but has the best points of Arsenal defenders, and their schedule to start out is pretty good. So I don't mind taking him after the 10th in terms of a trade high situation. Zinchenko, I've talked ad nauseum about how bad he is. Plus he's injured again. Shocker. So also like the Chelsea defenders, Thiago Silva and Cole will start out the season. They have a dream schedule after Liverpool.
Yeah, they do.
So I'm looking to take one of them after the 11th. So,
I mean, to your point about Magalhaes, like I agree. Like he ended up as last year, the 11th ranked defender, which is great. 7 points per game. So like I feel you on that, but again, you're still hoping for a clean sheet, right? And like you said, they have a great schedule.
Yeah, and he's been known to nick a few goals from set pieces. So, yeah, he's not a ghost point guy, but he scores the most of Arsenal defenders, and with that schedule, I think he's a decent pickup.
Yeah,
but
I feel you.
I think the best way to look at rounds 13 and after is who you would go for in a waiver wire situation for your next game. So, like you have a look at the upcoming. Not even just like if your first 12 rounds allow you to look at like 4 games in advance, do so. Mm-hmm. But if they don't, just look at game week 1. Look at their schedule. Look at their opportunity to play, and then draft for game week 1. Essentially, you won't have any qualms about dropping any of your players you drafted. You shouldn't really. You shouldn't have any problems dropping anyone you drafted after round 13 at the latest. So I like that Gabriel shouts. There's a very good schedule there. Once they get a clean sheet, or once he gets a clean sheet, then he has a chance of double digits, and yeah, he can pop up with a set piece anywhere in the first 4 games, and then you have a player that you can plug in for 2 to 3 games. That's all you're looking for from a stream, essentially. And after round 13, it's just high upside streamers. And now I have the floor. I want to talk about Kerkez Milos. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much. Obviously, I'm biased. It's an interesting situation, and some background given on the 2 Hungarians signing for Premier League teams this season. They had been the 2 best or most exciting and most tactically how should I put this, tactically mature players in the national team for the last year and a half. And I don't know how much you guys or our listeners followed or checked out Hungarian football in any way. For the last 12 years, we have had a government who poured an unimaginable amount of money and resources into football, building up academies and stadiums and whatnot, and you don't, like, the depth of this whole project is mind-boggling. But the exciting or fun fact that I want to highlight is that neither of the two players that signed for Premier League teams and are being paraded in Hungary as the result of the Hungarian football finance model have actually played in Hungarian youth systems. Kerkez Milos was born in the northern part of Serbia, and he was brought up there, played for a Serbian team, youth team, and then assumed Hungarian nationality. He is of Hungarian descent, but and he speaks Hungarian. He's a proper Hungarian, but never lived in Hungary, and never actually played a minute of football for a Hungarian club team. And Dominik Szoboszlai, when his dad realized that what the Hungarian youth system was like, he actually founded a youth club, funded the whole thing together with a few dads with himself, and brought him out to Liefering, which is the first base of the Red Bull system in Austria. And we actually have three or four full internationals from the club that Szoboszlai's dad founded in the Hungarian national team, and one who has never played in Hungary ever. So that is the situation. That is the Hungarian football finance. But it is a bit of an aside. Kerkez Milos is perfect for an Iraola system. Himself, the Basque manager, was a pretty decent right back. I think he was always better on Football Manager than in real life, but he was a pretty decent right back himself, and his tactics in his previous posts have relied very heavily on full-back play, overlapping, and generally channeling the attack through the full-back play. And Kerkez is very good at dribbling, crossing, and here is a fun and showy Twitter stat for you. In the top 15 leagues in Europe, there were only 10 under 20 players, there were only 5 under 20 players who had 10 plus attacking returns, and he was one of them. So he's young, he's hungry, he fits the system. So if they can start getting clean sheets, then he will be much higher than whatever we think right now he could be.
That might be a lot to ask.
I think DraftLad put it best in his Bournemouth preview. Think the peak value of Matías Viña last season, and multiply that by 1.5. So I think he should be in a conversation in a tier above.
Okay, that's fair. The one out of this group that I would mention is maybe Levi Colwill, who just signed an extension for Chelsea, or his official contract for Chelsea, and has been guaranteed that he's getting play time. And Ryan already mentioned their schedule. Liverpool, okay, fine, not great. West Ham, Luton, Forest, Bournemouth after that. I like Colwill late. If I can pick him up, I think he's a great grab. Anybody else from this list, guys, that you're targeting?
Just a shout out for more of a situational thing again, but Matty Cash, while Alex Moreno is out, the last preseason game, Villa actually played more of like a 3 at the back, and pushed Cash up as almost like a right winger. He was very, very advanced up the pitch, and Pau Torres was kind of used as a left back / left center back. So I think while Moreno is out, there's the potential that Emery uses that system from time to time, and Cash might be somebody that gets up into the attack a lot more than we've seen, at least recently. But again, that's I think maybe something that changes once Moreno is back fit. So maybe more of an early season type play than something long term.
That's fair.
Yeah, Moreno is supposedly back after the first international break.
Yeah.
Which leads me into my final question for you all. And this can just be, if you want, a sentence. But one super late hidden gem. You don't have to give away the farm. So if you want to keep one close to your chest, that's fine. But give us at least one that people can look at super late as I'm going to say sign off, but we're still going to try to knock out the semifinals for the quiz here in just a second. So give me one ultra late hidden gem. I can kick it off if you guys want to. If you guys want me to. Okay. So one of I had the pleasure of writing the Luton Town preview this season, which was difficult. I had to completely educate myself, let's say, on Luton Town. What I found out was that their wingbacks score very well, and they do a lot in terms of the attacking play because the midfield doesn't do a whole lot at all. And then I saw that they signed a young right back / right wing back. And I say signed, they loaned him from Manchester City, named Issa Kabore, and he started their previous preseason match, and he's one to keep an eye on. I think I might grab him around 16. I think he could be good. So there's mine.
I'll go next. I actually have two. One is João Cancelo. I think if he's there at the when you're drafting and you're looking at around 15, 16, might as well pick him up. You never know with Pep. He could, and hear me out here, he could be a backup to Foden as a right winger. He can play there. He can be pushed up there. I think we all know he's a very good player. It's just the attitude problem that he needed to work out. It doesn't look like they can find a buyer for him, so it could still work out. The other one is Chelsea defender Ian Maatsen, who was on loan at Burnley, if I'm not mistaken, last season. And he's played a fair bit in midfield in preseason for Chelsea. So if they are stuck on Caicedo and the 12th of August comes around, we could very well see Ian Maatsen line up in the midfield for Chelsea.
I've not heard anyone say that name so far. That's fantastic. That's a deep cut. Love it.
I'm going to go for a name that we have heard before and one that is much maligned in the fantasy and Premier League community in general, and give a shout out to Harry Maguire.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's rumors of him moving to West Ham, more similar to his level and kind of the style of team that he should be playing in. I think he can get starting minutes there. And he actually ghosts very well because he's good in the air. He brings home a lot of aerials and clearances. He gets in the way. So block shots. He's an aerial threat on set pieces. I think if he gets a move to West Ham, then maybe he's worth rostering. If not, then just drop him. So.
All right. Well, that's fair. Totally. I totally get it.
Gavin, would you keep him on roster if he was still at Man United, but there were rumors of a West Ham move after game week 1?
Depends on how far along the rumors are, but probably not. I don't think he's worth keeping if he's not starting or if he hasn't got some sort of confirmation that a move is in the works. But if 16th round of high upside potential pickup that you can throw away, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep. Ryan.
This is a favorite of Totti and I, but Vogel's seemingly injured, so I think Baldock of Sheffield United fame steps into the breach, scored a goal preseason. They have a good matchup to start the season, so sticking with Totti's rationale of streamers the last couple rounds. I like him the first few games at least before you switch to Bogle. So yeah, he's somebody I'm looking to get really late.
Beautiful. All right. Do you guys want to knock out the quiz?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, we'll try to keep it short with 10 minutes. Totti, are you going to bid us farewell and go to sleep?
No, I'm
okay.
I'll listen to the quiz and antagonize anyone who doesn't know the answers.
Okay, good, perfect,
Great.
Perfect.
Not from the peanut gallery that went out first round. Won't have it.
That's fair.
All right, Totti, since you've done this before, do you want to explain the rules very quickly?
Okay, so Joe will flip a coin and a set A and a set B. One question asked after the other, like a penalty shootout. If there is a tie after 5, we have a tiebreaker that is a number that you can get as close to as you want.
Perfect. All right, Ryan, let's have you go ahead and just kick us off. Choose either set A or set B.
Go A.
Okay, A. That means you're going to go first. All right. So, Ryan, your first question here. In 2019-2020 Premier League in the 2019-2020 Premier League season, 4 players completed 100 or more dribbles, according to Opta or FBref. Name 2 of them. 2019-2020, 4 players completed 100 or more dribbles. Name 2.
Dama Traore
is one of them.
Ooh. I want to say Mane.
You want to say?
I remember if A.S. Sims. I'll do St. Maximin.
Mane would not have gotten you the point. St. Maximin, however, does.
Cool,
nice job. Nice job.
I just saw his departure posting, and it said 4 years, and I was just really close to didn't know if he stayed. Okay, cool.
So Adama Zaha ASM Buendia.
Wow.
Emi Buendia.
Nice. Would have gotten that one.
Yep. All right, Gavin, here we go. In the 2019-2020 Premier League season, 4 players completed 80 or more key passes, according to Opta/FBref. Name 2 of them. 80 or more key passes.
You said 1920?
1920.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Is one of them.
It's before Bruno came. God. Grealish?
Is another one. Nice job. Nice job. Absolutely. Good work, guys.
AWP up there?
KDB, Grealish,
JWP.
Trent, and Buendia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Buendia had a hell of a season.
Yeah,
hell of a season.
That was Buendia's top season there.
That's why we all want to keep drafting him, but we got to stop ourselves. All right, Ryan, here we go. Question number 2. In the 2022-23 season, for the first time ever, an American player scored for a Premier League team managed by an American manager. Who was that player?
I assume Brendan Aronson.
That is correct. Nice job. Boom. All right, Gavin. Yours may or may not be that easy. Let's see. All right.
Oh, come on.
Question number 2. In the 2022-23 season, which player became the first ever to... 2022-23 season, which player became the first ever to be sent off on their Chelsea debut?
I have no idea.
2022-23.
Was this Enzo Fernandez?
No.
João Felix.
I totally even forgot he even played there.
That game against Fulham. Yeah, that was wild.
Famously, everybody spent a whole bunch of fab on him and then gets sent off in his first match.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yep.
That game.
He was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. Flashes of brilliance before flashes of red. All right.
Scored like 5 points.
Was that it?
Even
With the red card.
With the red card.
Was that all it was? Oh, so that would have been minus what? 8?
7.
Yeah, something.
7. Okay, yeah, okay. So fair. I see what you're saying. All right, Ryan, you are in the lead 2-1. Let's go ahead and get you your third question. Ryan, what is the name of Bournemouth's stadium?
Vitality.
Very nice. That's a point. That is a point. All right, Gavin, over to you. It's going to be in a similar vein, obviously. What is the name of Nottingham Forest Stadium?
The City Ground.
City Ground is correct. Nice job. 2 points. 1 point for each. I guess I should give you some correct answer music. Nice job. All right, Ryan, fourth question. This one may be a little bit tougher. We'll see. With 37 in each, which outfield player started the most games in both of Chelsea's last 2 title-winning seasons, 2014-15 and 2016-17? Again, with 37 in each, which outfield player started the most games in both of Chelsea's last 2 title-winning seasons, 14-15 and 16-17?
Is it Fabregas?
It is not. It is Dave.
I was thinking outfield, no defenders. Fucking hell.
Dave Azpilicueta.
Yeah.
Obviously. Dave Azpilicueta.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Totti, I only have 4 questions here for each. Is that normal?
Guess it'll come down to this one then.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, we have a tiebreaker if we need it, but we'll see what happens. All right. Here we go. All right, Gavin. Only one outfield player started all 38 games of Leicester's title-winning 2015-16 season. Who was it?
Wes Morgan.
That is correct.
Oh,
Nice job. Unbelievable.
Deep pull. Okay.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, that leaves us with 3-3.
I'll give you.
You have them? You have them?
If you, yeah.
Is this
We're just not going to the tiebreaker.
Yeah, we go.
before
All
the
right.
tiebreaker? Or?
No. Wait. We got
no,
one more.
No, sorry, not that one.
Oh, not that one. Okay. Are those from the Europe ones?
Rig.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Got you. All right. Are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Ryan. Last question. It is currently 3-3. Which of these players didn't get a game week high score in 2022-23? Which of these players did not get a game week high score in 2022-23? Solly March, Gabriel Martinelli, Ben Mee, Alexander Mitrovic.
Martinelli.
That is correct. Nice job.
It's
All right,
so
Gavin.
weird when you were saying that. I was like, I wonder if Martinelli comes up because he had like some great like early 20s performances, but never like a monster.
Yeah, because and mainly because it looks like March in game week 20 scored 37, Ben Mee 29, Ben Mee 26 and a half in 22, and Mitrovic in game week 1 scored 35, and game week 17 35 and a half. So yeah, Martinelli just didn't quite get there. All right, Gavin, pressure's on. You got to get this one to tie it and bring it to a tiebreaker. Which of these players did not get a game week high score in 2022-23? Saka, Salah, Cher, Son.
I'm going to go with Saka.
It is Fabian Cher. So sorry. Saka in game week 28, 34 and a half. And also game week 32 with 32. So there we are.
Well done, Ryan.
Going, Gav. Jesus.
That was good, you guys. Nice
good.
job. That was brutal, honestly. Nice job. I
Yeah,
cannot
tough.
even tell you how many of those I would have known. It's under 2. No, maybe I would have known both. I would have known both the stadiums, but maybe that's about it.
That's why we are on the sidelines. Sure.
Exactly.
And these guys were in the semifinal.
Right.
I
Nice.
want Rugby in the final.
You got to win it for the States.
Yeah. I love that people were answering in chat as we went along too, just giving their guesses. That was solid. All right, let's go ahead and close her down, guys. It's been a great episode. This will be up tomorrow on all podcast platforms, but in the coming week, stay tuned for obviously midfielders and forward previews as well. We're going to try to get those knocked out as soon as we possibly can. So we'll be back with you with another live stream. Tune in, check us out on Twitter. You'll get all the information there. Guys, it's been a blast. Thanks so much. Let's close her down and get Totti to bed. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Later.
Adios.